It shows. So just make sure your game is going that way.
And we are live.
Yes. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Tuesday, April 18th for College Council here at San Diego City College. I'm Tilly Chavez and I'm Vice President of Instruction, sitting in for Ricky Shabazz today. And going to help us get through our meeting today for College Council. So if we can go ahead and get started on roll call. I was going to say, Janelle, read off roll call. Oh, that's Tilly Chavez. Okay, so filling in for Ricky Shabazz is Tilly Chavez. Our past president for Academic Senate, Mona. So Chavez here. Our chair Institutional Technology Council, Robbie.
President.
Information officer, Caesar.
Here.
Supervisory representative, Jay.
Here.
President chairs cabinet, Suna. Present. Dean institutional effectiveness and chair, Improc, it says.
Oh, yeah, that should say city planning, shouldn't it? Present.
Administrative representative, Masa.
Present.
President Associate Students Government, ASG, Diego.
Present.
Vice President Administrative Services, John.
Present.
Vice President Student Services is being substituted by Ron Sanchez. Thank you for being proxy today. President Classified Senate, Sean Ryan.
Present.
Sing a song. Too. President Academic Senate, Maria Jose de Don. Present. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Completed our roll call. If you turn your sheet over, you'll see the agenda for today. And we got started on item number 2, approval of April 4th, 2023 meeting minutes. Hopefully you had a chance to review these prior, but if not, if you need a minute to just take a look at the packet that you have in front of you. We're looking to approve the minutes, if there's.
I do have a question. Thank you for adding the amendment, on point 2, but can you tell me where the content is? I'm sorry. The content of that amendment of the conversation, was it added to the minutes or no?
Yeah, it should be up on the website.
Oh,
They're all accessible on the college's website.
okay,
I made the
but
amendment.
not on this one then.
No, there is.
Oh, okay.
In the past one, yeah.
So just a question on that in the future. Just asking it, just for clarification. Should we bring, and I'm picking up what you're
Yes.
asking, should we bring that set of old minutes back to show when that was amended? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, because if anything was added, then it would have been on this, so we can approve it, right?
It was for the minutes for the
Before.
2 meetings ago.
Hmm.
We can
That's why I'm
trust the
confused.
institutional process to say it was done,
Okay,
acknowledgement on
okay.
this minute.
That's what it is.
But then you can verify the content of the past document. I think.
Perfect. Got it.
For clarity, thank you,
Yeah.
Melissa, for that.
Thank you.
With that, huh?
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.
I was looking for a motion for approval of the minutes.
This is Sean, motion to approve.
Sean Ryan, approval.
Next second, Maria Jose Sanchez.
Thank you. And a vote. So go ahead and let's just go ahead and ask everybody, approval, by showing your hands or saying aye, yes. Any opposing? Abstaining? Suna will abstain, Janelle. If you come to curriculum, we actually do it this way. So, thank you very much. Now moving on to the agenda. You have the agenda in front of you, but I'm going to go ahead and ask to see if there's any changes on the agenda to be added or changed.
Yes,
Susan?
the accreditation update item should note that it is the second read of the ICER draft and is coming back for approval. We did the first read 2 weeks ago.
So this is an action item?
Yes. This is our last college council meeting before our draft is due to the district.
So item 3, Susan?
Yes.
So we're amending item 3 to read second read of ICER draft. Action item for approval. Things or changes. I'm looking for a motion with the amendment to the agenda.
So moved.
Melissa? And a
I'll
second.
second, Mr. Susan.
Move to vote. That one too? So looking for everyone's approval, or we'll go for those that approve, please move, say yes, or raise your hand, whichever works on Dolan or Green Tech. I think that was unanimous. I did not see any others, so any nays, any abstains, I don't see any. Oh, thank you. Well, moving forward, it looks like Susan, you're up on the show again today. And it looks like we have a guest, Marco, with us as well. Welcome. So second read of the ICER draft, Susan Murray and Marco, we'll turn it over to you.
You know, if you go to the very last slide. Yeah, the last one. So we are returning for our, well, I guess really not second read, but we've had the opportunity, this group has had the opportunity to look at the standards and make comments. So really we can kind of get straight to what we'd like to be able to do, which is, and the slide will show that, is approval for the content contained in the report for the standards that was presented and available. And we did bring a couple different caveats to cover, and we went over these with the other signatory groups as well. This is with the understanding that the formatting and editing of the document will continue through August 1st. Also, any major content changes, things that we really think the groups should see and get an opportunity to respond to, we will bring back to each of the groups. And some of those have been occurring. So we have been taking it to different groups already and getting that feedback. So that's with the understanding that if that does happen, we will be communicating that with everybody. And the report really is, this is not, once this is approved here, it's static, it's stuck, we're not changing it. There will still be opportunities to read the report. There will still be opportunities to make changes to the report, really all the way through August 1st. So if there are major things we will communicate those, and there will still be a chance to do that. But this is kind of the end of our formal process of all the different signatory groups having a chance to see it, report it out to other groups on campus, and be able to share that process as well within the document, but then with the district as well, because that's kind of our next step next week. Then we have a couple other dates coming up with May 5th and the planning summit, where we will formally present what we have this semester to campus. We'll be able to thank our writing team members, and we're hoping to be able to highlight certain areas of the report and some action items too, because part of the self-analysis was looking for areas of improvement. We can pull some out to demonstrate that the process is working, and that we have things that we can look forward to improving that we've identified. And then finally, the completed document, the way we'd like to present it and submit it, will be shared with these groups before the August 1st deadline. So we'll see the whole thing in its entirety.
And so we are scheduled to transmit our draft to the district next week for the district to go through its review and approval review process before final approval by the board. So the district review is going to involve the board subcommittee on accreditation, district governance council, and chancellor's cabinet. And then it's scheduled to go to the board in June. So within the college, we have received approval from classified senate and academic senate so far. And I think the ASG meeting is this Friday.
Next Friday. Next Friday, 28th, I believe, April 28th. For our, and Diego, you were not present when I visited last week or the week before, but we will come back to 28th, and that will start the process. It's 28th, then you, the ASG will vote the following week, and then share the minutes of those. After that. Yeah.
That was just how we could make it work with the timing of all of the different groups meeting.
Oh, and on that point, the survey, the student survey is out currently, so so Juan Carlos did that for us, and then we'll be able to get those results and include some of those comments in the report too.
Any questions about where we are or what happens next?
I do have a question, not about really, well, maybe about where we are. Something you said and you're mentioning about the district, and I know we're not the only college in the district going through this. So just out of curiosity, a question for myself is, I would imagine that the district section is a replicate for each of the colleges. Is that true?
Yes, if
Okay.
you look at the draft, there's a lot of content in red font, and
Okay.
that was
Just lifted.
pulled from the
Okay.
narrative that the district provided for those sections where our functional map said that the district had primary responsibility.
Just there. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you've tried to keep that consistent across colleges, and if there's a question raised about something in one of those sections, we're circling that back around to make sure that everyone's addressing it in a similar way.
Questions? Concerns? Being that this is an action item. The action item, we're approving the second read of the ICER draft. How would you like that?
Yeah, approving the ICER draft to go forward from the college to the district.
To the district? So if we can bring this item to a vote. All those in favor?
Do you need a motion?
Oh, thank you. Sorry, thank you. Have to have a motion first. Thank you, Sunan. Jumped right in and covered Tilly there. Do I have a second? Thank you, Melissa. Now can we move this item for a vote? So let's go back. Everybody raise your hand again. If you vote yes. And it looked unanimous? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susan, you continue to keep the floor again.
Gosh, yes, we do.
So program review and assessment. And if I can, just real quickly before you start, Marco, now that you're here again with us, I'd just like to say thank you for all the work you've been doing with accreditation. You know, I've spent some times here and there with Marco, just clarifications and just the work, where we've gone from one place to another. I just want to say thank you, Susan, obviously as well. I know that you have a helper there too, so. Thank you. Yes. Didn't mean to interrupt your program.
That's all right. Okay, so Ricky asked that we bring an update on where we are with program review and assessment, since those processes have been in transition this year as we move to a new software platform. So program review, we have completed almost all of the input. There are still a couple of stragglers out there, but we are working with those departments individually to get them caught up. The resource allocation requests for general funds have been moved forward to the resource allocation committee. And that process of reviewing those requests is underway. We have some reports set up for deans so far that will allow them to more easily look at the content of the information submitted for the individual programs that report to their area. So rather than having to open up each report individually, if they want to look across reports at outcomes, if they want to look across reports at something like alignment with the strategic priority, that's possible. And just last week, we are now really actively moving to the next phase of assessment activity in Nuventive, which is course SLO assessment. All of the course SLO information has been imported, and those templates are active. So anyone who has course SLOs to report, either from the spring or from fall, can now go in and do that. So we had a kind of a down period for course SLOs during the fall semester, while we focused on getting the program review piece up and running, but that is now active. So Alicia Betancourt is available to assist. She still is holding some open labs. She sent out a newsletter to the DL, I believe just this morning, that has a whole bunch of resource links, including a new walkthrough video for course SLO reporting in Nuventive. She's also working with individual departments on request to help them create a form to capture information from different faculty within the department to kind of compile everything in one place to make it easier to move that information into Nuventive. So if that's something that sounds like it would be helpful to a department that's doing course SLOs, please contact Alicia and she would be happy to assist with that. We are also planning some work that will take place probably over the summer. We will be building out, so right now, individual departments can map their program outcomes or the goals that they're working on in their comprehensive plan to our new strategic priorities that were adopted last fall. Well, so that's one aspect of reporting on the strategic priorities. What we'll be building out over the summer is an additional reporting system that just focuses on activity related to those priorities, so that we can capture that information and make that reporting accessible to the college. And then the other thing is we'll be working with John's team to see if we can create a resource request form within Nuventive rather than having to do something in a separate Excel spreadsheet, so that we can kind of complete that transition into the new platform. So the goal of all of this, and one of the reasons that we were in favor of Nuventive as the new platform, is that it has tools that make it easier for us to share and use program review information once it's submitted. So the submission of the information is just part of the process. That's the documentation piece. But the real value comes from using that information in planning, decision making, and learning from the results that you observe, so that you can make improvements going forward. So we're going to be shifting the focus of our conversation kind of back to that aspect of it. Because that really is the heart and the reason for doing planning and assessment at any level. And so we'll be working on some tools to help clarify those processes and just remind people of all of the different settings that these conversations about outcomes take place. So that is the update for where we are at this point. And again, please look for that email from Alicia. She's been doing a newsletter about once a month. They're all linked, and she's got a lot of great resources there. She's been doing a tremendous job. And it's specifically for course SLO assessment. Please reach out to her.
I still have this burning question. I'll keep asking it until we somewhere, but now that we're on Nuventum and we can see things across the board. At some point in time, our area plans that we do at the manager's level, which was initially, my understanding, completed because we couldn't see across what was happening. I'm just asking that there might be a way somewhere, sometime. I mean, I know it's nice to generate reports and all those things, but if we can find a way to not have to do so many of them, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, that is definitely on the project list to try to merge those area plans back into the cycle of reporting that
So
already
once
happens
it's done in there, it's
within Nuventum.
done.
Yes, and then you can just access that information. So I think that we will be able to make that switch in the fall.
And I know I'm like a broken record with that, but anywhere that I can eliminate writing another report, I will try.
I am with you.
And Maria Jose, I wanted to make sure that gets on the minute.
Absolutely. I'm with you on
I
that.
think we're all on board.
Yes.
Other questions? This was an information item.
Yes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, moving along on our agenda. John Parker, you're up with ranked facilities project list. It sounds interesting.
It is interesting. Thank you for the ranked facilities project list. I apologize. I did not submit it in time to get it in the packet, but we will be sharing it on the
It's in
screen.
the packet.
Oh, it isn't?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you. It's actually the one from the district that's not in the packet that we're hanging up.
Well, you couldn't read it.
Yeah, you can't read it because it's such a small font. But this will be the first presentation and meeting of it. We being the district, employed an outside consultant, Gordian consultant, and they used our education plan and our facility plan to rank our projects. And this is used, these consultants are used when you're going out for bond to kind of help us prioritize our renovations, our constructions, our new builds, any deferred maintenance or whatnot. So they were brought in specifically for this purpose to help take our facility plan, our education plan, and to come up with a preliminary list. It's not even a recommendation. It's just a guideline for us to determine what they view our priorities are in terms of going out to the bond and funding for the bond, and they created just that, a list for us, which is not included. It'll be included in the next meeting. It's a little cryptic, I will admit, but it's really for informational purposes to help guide us and to understand and to help guide us in determining what our priorities should be for our project. So what you see here is what came out of that. We gave it a step, administration. This is the list that we came up with in order. And what we'll be doing, and I'll read down them, I cannot, actually, let me get to the page. Thank you, Tilly. Number one, it's been a hot topic lately is student housing. Seville has, since I've been here, Seville has been a hot topic. The Gym AC, that is an instructional space. And when that was built, I don't understand the rationale. I wasn't here. I don't think any of us were that AC was not put into the gym when it was built. That's the construction. It used to be global warming.
For real.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we are still in winter, I guess.
Right. The new, D building, which would be student services for the most part. Now, this will be a demolition or renovation of the existing A building and a demolition of the D building, and we'll combine it into one building.
Which is what we want.
Yes, which is, yeah, I'm referring it to as other building. Yes, it is a building. And that will include at some point a more expanded, larger, well, not even more because we don't have one now, but it'll be a parent support center / a family resource center, which will be built into that as well. New Seeds building, and I skipped over number 5, working adult parent resource building. That'll be a part of that D building. In addition, there will be one in student housing as well. There will be a parent support center or family resource center. So in all buildings. Seeds building will actually receive a new classroom and a storage shed. You guys may recall that in the facility plan, addition of seed space, the amphitheater. This will be a part of the Seville project, where the Seville will not be a renovation. It'll actually be a new building. It'll have a different layout, more seating, a glass wall facing on that C Street. Yes, C Street overlooking the city. In addition to that will be an amphitheater, outdoor amphitheater. You may recall that amphitheater overlooking the city, and I can't remember the capacity. It started at 1,000, and it may be less than that, 600 or 700 or so, but it'll be a multi-use space. Digital marquee, actually, this should be plural marquees, which are essentially electronic billboards for the college. So they'll be strategically placed around the campus at prominent corners where stop signs and lights are. Guess what? We get to advertise to folks who are sitting at lights or stop signs or just walking by about our classes, our programs, events, open house, you name it. So this will garner more attention. Yeah, definitely. And it's brand management for the campus, especially in this downtown footprint. EVHS outdoor classroom, expanding those instructional spaces for our health programs. Pedestrian bridge. The pedestrian bridge is also brand management. You may recall this will be right here on the corner. It'll take us over Park Boulevard over to the Harry West Gym, somewhere in the vicinity of in front of San Diego High School. This will be used as a dual purpose to serve also as a gateway to downtown, coming from north into downtown, past Balboa Park into downtown City College. So it'll be in a City College downtown gateway. You are now entering nice territory here. So that is also brand management, and it is a beacon to say, hey, we are the only campus in downtown San Diego. So it serves for safety, brand management, in addition to a gateway to the downtown corridor. These are our rankings. These are not set in stone. What we will do with Susan will be doing, we'll be working with Susan to create a ranking. And Susan will provide a little shed a little more light on that process in a minute, but we'd like to hear from the council what we think those priorities should be and compare them to ours. So Susan, did you want to jump in real quick to discuss what the survey may look like?
Describe it, we can use an online voting tool that will allow each member of college council to submit their own ranking of these projects, and the tool will pile all of that into an overall ranking and then see how that aligns with what the VPs are working on.
And so you'll ask, what, I see your question, what are we going to do with this information? This is still preliminary. We're a long way out. This is for 2024 bond. In the bond, so all of these projects that they include and that we will be discussing and having subsequent discussions about, they're all fungible. So 5 may be 1 and 2 may be 6. We can move them around, and if there's something that's not in either of our rankings, we can later add them. We'll have to identify them for the bond. But in the bond is established as such that we can add a project as long as it's in our education plan. And guess what? All we'll have to do is update our education plan to include something that may not have been included previously, and then we can add it as a bond project. So we're kind of a long way off. This is like, you recall what the facility plan was like, it's a couple years process. So this is just the start of that process to help inform us and guide us determining what our priorities will be. Some projects that have a shorter life cycle and a lifespan might get done first. It doesn't mean that they're their number one priority over any other project. It's that we can get it done first. If it's on our list, then it will serve a purpose. Any questions regarding the top 10? Masa, you had your hand up.
So in terms of each project, is there any way to voice some suggestion or interest? For example, in the spirit of number 5 and, a constant need for more space for child care, child development, could that be included as a suggested item for number 1, for example?
Yes, that actually will be the purpose of the survey.
Okay, good, thank you.
So based on the rendering that we had sitting in here, the stuff that's not on here, that mean it's not being considered.
Yeah, all of the items on there, it seemed like 99 items.
Maybe 69, this one was 69 items.
I just like the whole renovation of the Harry West gym area. I don't see any of that on there. Does that mean it's not being considered?
No, it just means that this is, we came up with our top 10. The district did ask for our top 10. That's what we provide. So those are being considered. They may not be in our top 10. And now that's ours. It could be in your top 10, it could be in the council's top 10. And subsequent groups that we may invite for their survey. We just had to narrow it down.
And personally, for me, I'll talk about the gym myself. I know there's that whole beautiful area they talked about with rebuilding that area, but for me, construction, since I've been here, that gym, I've been trying to find a way to fund the air conditioning for the gym since I arrived. And then even during the time when the peak of the pandemic, we couldn't use it for certain things because it didn't have the AC, didn't have the filters, didn't have those types of things. So it really became like detriment to us. So for me, it's kind of become a high of my list. That is it.
And I just wanted to add to that, I see your question, Diego, is why 10? And it's a good question. My conjecture would be that as we're going out the bond, we can't sell all of the projects. We want to sell the projects.
Each college does, right?
Pardon me, yes,
Because each college has to give certain.
correct, yes. So it's for marketing and for lobbying, for the bond, for instructional students and student support services and programs and academic spaces, if you will. And I'm sorry, Diego, you had one.
It's loosely related to the gym, but why are all students able to access the gym and just students who are registered in exercise classes are only access the gym?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if this is a forum for it. What you say?
What I'll do is I'll follow up with Erin Detty, the dean there, and.
Oh, good. Soon I had her hand up there. That's great.
Yeah, it's actually an insurance issue. So we tried to get the gym open. So like at UCSD, the gym is open to anyone as a student that can come in. But it's an insurance issue for us. We can't actually do that, both in terms of cost and in terms of like the hour and the manpower. And so enrollment in class is the way that we ensure that anyone who is actually insured because they're.
But I was gonna follow up, thank you. I was gonna follow up and say, one of your ASB meetings would be nice if we had our department chair, Eddie Milburn, and probably Dean Betty come and visit and talk about our athletics and health exercise science. I mean, everybody's always looking for a plug somewhere, so I'm just thinking that might be a great space for, and then maybe thoughts and ideas that you might have. Everybody's open to those too. Yeah. Good job, Sina. Thank you very much. So where do we go now with these ranked lists? What's the next step?
The next step, I believe, will we receive an email or will we actually vote at the next meeting? Will it be an email? I think we discussed doing a survey.
You could do it either way.
I think it would be best to
Janelle
to
has some
send out. a
feedback.
survey.
Janelle has feedback.
Just like timeline wise, I think it would probably be best if we sent out an email and we gave people a deadline and then voted at a future meeting. Just so that people have enough time. I just think that would be best.
So are we only ranking these top 10?
From my understanding, that's what was
Okay.
requested, just so that we can kind of like shift them, right? Or was that? I would jump on it.
Yeah, well, let us confirm. So we'll confirm when we send out the invite, the link. And that's a good point, actually, because there was discussion of ranking these top 10 or ranking other projects as well, to answer Jay's question. So we'll need to clarify that. The instructions will be outlined when the link goes out for the survey and to discuss. So my question is, should we have the survey prior to the next meeting or have it as a live survey at the next?
Depends what the purpose of the survey is. The survey is so that Jay and Mona and others can actually rank your top 10 out of the 69 items. Or is the purpose to just take these top 10 and rank them? And then then Susan can consolidate and see what they fall, I guess, and then people will vote on that, right? I mean, there's a couple of steps in there.
Yes, we'll shore that up and we'll have the instructions detailed in the next communication.
Thank you for bringing that forward and the explanation. So next we have enrollment report. It looks like in your packet, you have the latest from 4/4/23. Not today's, but this is as close as we're gonna get. And you can see, if you take a look at this item on the enrollment report, we've now bumped up from 73.999. We're now at 78% towards our goal, which is, Ricky said we take any win we can like that. Still not above that 80, but still I get it, I hear you. And I just wanted to emphasize when you look at the progress towards our FTEF targets, that's where we are. And are a little closer to Mason Miramar now. They had really been much higher. And now it's leveling off. And now that the semester is kind of moving along, students are dropping off, etc. What I would like you to look at is on the top line where it says City College under FTES and 3,041.6, and the next to it is our target FTES of 3883. So we're off about 8,000 roughly there, that we're not meeting what we're supposed to be. The only reason I bring this up is where you see FTES, that is like our actuals, where we're at. Now, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but at some point in time, we will not be in full harvest. And at some point in time, what we earn in our actuals is what we're going to get paid for. So I just kind of bring that back so that people understand that we're getting paid a lot more money than what we're earning. And at some point, I think I've talked about this in the instructional cabinet and with the chairs before, and at some point, we're going to lose FTEF. We're going to lose money. And I've been able to guesstimate somewhere between 50 to 80 FTEF less than what we get now. So I just kind of put that out there just for not for anything else, just for people to start listening and thinking of like, how do we start working on retaining students? How do we work on billing our classes or offering the classes at the times that the students want them, or what needs to be offered? All those things, not one thing. Right, however that can be. And so then I also wanted to bring to you some things that have recently come to fruition. Thank you, Masa, for the work that you did. And this, I'll have to use my phone on it, but every semester we have some issues with fraudulent students. And so thought that we were clear. Nothing's really been happening to our, that we're worried about. The last second 8 weeks started on April 4th. And census date was April 10th. So as we start to take a look at where we are, Masa called me immediately. They had a couple of classes that just didn't look right. So we contacted the district, and the information I've now received is from the second 8 weeks. City College had 253 fraudulent students in the second 8 weeks classes. That's huge, right? Mesa, for their second 8 weeks, had 162 students, and Miramar had 144. Go ahead, Masa. please
What's
jump in.
frustrating, without throwing anybody under the bus, is I caught this back in February
Yes.
when I was tracing enrollment. The speed of enrollment is something I look at too, and it was too suspicious, too fast.
Yeah.
I reached out, nothing happened until when the faculty reached out to me again.
Right.
So I would request some kind of a systematic discussion at the district level.
So what I've learned since then, that's how I got this little report, was that they're going to work on improving the practices a little bit more, because like you said, we had already caught a few of them. Wish that we could have purged those students in advance. There are certain things that you can look for. Do you mind saying what some of those are?
Some of the telltale sign from my limited experience was that when you see a names that are not capitalized or all caps, not saying that every one of those, because sometimes, I get busy, capitalizing stuff, but if you see a lot of those are the first sign. Then I go into the emails, and if emails are typically coming from same domain, whether it's gmail.com or hotmail.com or outlook.com, then I start seeing suspicious, and I cross-reference courses that are added late, asynchronously online, that are late start. Then you start seeing like a similar names, and then I know, I'm pretty certain that those are fake students. When I see at least 3 of those, I'll reach to district, and that's where it's, out of my hand, but.
And these fraudulent rings, they're out there, right? Financial aid, they're trying to take as much money, especially with the HERF dollars that we had, and we're giving away for students and stuff, so.
It's pretty high tech, I guess, because some of these people have a federal aid indicator, which means that they have also, messed up the federal student aid part. So they're pretty sophisticated. It's not like a single person doing it. So
Just awareness. On another great note for our enrollment as well, I'll just put it in there as a recap, and we all know that we had that enrollment forum. We are looking, the student journey is moving forward with another retreat this Friday, and then one in May. I'll be compiling a flyer of what's to come. And then also, I was speaking with the exec team last week, and I'd really like us to follow up. I hope people are on board with this, a fall enrollment forum as well, like in mid-September, after checking with Susan to make sure it doesn't interfere with our accreditation process. So, just to check in, where are we again with people? And I thought that was a really nice event to have the campus come together. So we guys do something like that. It's not really an enrollment report. I kind of put it in there. So anything else? Any questions about the enrollment report? Thank you, Masa, for your help on that and finding the issues. Next on the agenda, we have food trucks. John Parker.
Food
We wanna
trucks,
know
we need one
about food
here.
trucks.
Right
Right
now.
out here.
So the district has contracted with Moody's to provide food truck. This is the only one thus far. This is a district contract for all of the campuses. They were one of the only ones, I guess, who could provide services during those times for multiple campuses. And so that will be, it's right out here, the at the AHBT quad. There, and they will be there Monday through Thursday, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. This extends through May 18th, I believe. Yes, May 18th. That leads me to the next item. It's a great segue into number 8, is that we're exploring with district services, that is evening cafe hours for fall, starting in fall. So, and this will be presented to the student forum to assess the need. Determine, because as you guys know, and you may have heard Nancy mention on several occasions, the volume is just not there. There's a cost associated with keeping people manned during the hours, and if the sales are anemic, then it becomes cost prohibitive, and then they'll have to pull and bring a truck in. So we as a district are looking at exploring options of expanding the cafeteria hours. More information to come on that. If that does not work, we will bring back at least a food truck, if not a rotation. Trucks for similar, if not the same hours. Any questions regarding the food truck or expanded cafeteria hours? Cafe hours.
I do have a question about the food truck, so, is it free?
Thank you for mentioning the vouchers. Should have had that as a subheading here. It is free for students. So we received a windfall of additional Prop 20 Lotto funds. We've had them all along. We just assumed that they were committed. And they have been dispersed to the campuses. We will be using, it is approved through the state to use Prop 20 Lotto funds now temporarily for basic needs, which includes food. So we've created a voucher system for our students to receive free meals, and we'll be using approximately $250,000, starting at $250,000 to fund this for students. The process will be so that it does not impact, it doesn't have an adverse impact on financial aid. We are not qualifying the students per se. They're going to basic needs. We're just confirming that they're an active registered student. They will receive a voucher. They'll use that voucher, hand it over to the food truck. They'll keep count. And that's how they'll be building something like a lunch or a raffle ticket of the sort. They'll collect, the food truck will collect it and send it to the district for billing. So that's how we obviate the impact on the financial aid. I saw Janelle and then the Masa.
Just for clarification purposes, I mean, as a student, I would want to know directly where to go to. So you said that it would be directly through basic needs, and that's located in the T building, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And
actually, it'll be, it's at the food pantry, correct? Are we doing it at the food pantry or the basic need office?
No, so I saw the agenda right before coming, so I asked Nadia to give me a copy of
Oh, that's nice.
So we've been working with financial aid district because the conversation has come up of whether it should be part of the financial aid packet, and of course, we're advocating that it's not. And so we internally want to track who we're giving it to, but if we track it, it seems that we should report it to financial aid. But I still want to track it because how do we know who we're serving? And how can we extend this if anything comes up if we don't know who we're serving? So Nadia created with this voucher. And so we're actually going to be working now more strategically. We just learned this in the last 2 hours. That it has to be 600 tickets of vouchers that we give out per week. So that's about 150 per day because we're only doing Monday through Thursday. And so, so the last thing that I got during the meeting today is that we could move forward with minimal tracking. So I want to do name, ID number, and where they're receiving it from. So we do want to work with some faculty who are teaching around this time, and then also program leads so that they can work with their students and also have a faster flow of traffic to the voucher without having to depend on the food pantry or media. So Media and I have been texting during this session because the updates are, hot off the press, as they say. And so, so that's kind of what we're looking at. So if you already know of faculty who teach between 3 and 7, or could have their students come in during this time frame, email Nadia or myself. But we are going to be looking at just the classes that are in person during this time frame to invite them to just partner with us so that we can give them X amount of tickets on a weekly basis. And then they will help us how the students fill out this very simple form. We're trying to go as simple as a Google form where the students will just input this information, very simple, so we can track it. Yeah. Good job.
Very good. Thank you. I can be the lead for AH. I teach in the evening, at least on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I see classes all around the floor, so I can help distribute to their faculty. And if you have a physical form, I know that Google is probably easier, but like if we're going to classrooms and handing them out, it might be easier to like have students have an option, at least for students to just fill in the form right away. And I can, help collect those.
Yeah, we could definitely do both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, thank you. Do you mind passing that on? I'll just like that. And Masa had a question, then Jay.
Okay, but are these, is this a district-wide thing? Are they good district-wide? Like if I go to City College
Take it to another one.
and I have a class at Mason.
Well, our voucher is strictly formatted and designed for city. Other campuses are just doing the raffle tickets. So that's a good question. I can ask media, the districts. I believe it can be anywhere. But we did create, or media did create this one specifically for our campus. This was before knowing that we had to distribute that many. So, yeah, 600 a week.
I think it's a little different. I know like at CE, they just open up the trucks and it's free to the first 140. I think, something like that. And that's why they're wrapped around. Because they don't have financial aid at CE, so they don't have this regulation as well.
A good turnaround because as Adon mentioned, we miss flying by the seat of our pants and just getting updates almost on a daily basis. Some of it conflicting, so I have to go back and verify it, but we're trying to put this, or we are putting it together now as quickly as possible to ensure that we feed our students.
Is this strictly food trucks or cafeteria also?
It's really.
Food trucks. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, Adon, since you were talking about 150 per day, it's just nice to know that in the evening, we offer, I think it's like 155 sections at nighttime. Just an FYI. So, but that doesn't mean that some of those could be after 7 p.m., right? Not necessarily before.
I have a related, but may not be the right time kind of question. John, are they going to have a new guideline for the Prop 20 fund? That's a question one. Question two is through our Prop 20 lottery fund given to the department, can we also purchase basic needs? Since it's coming from the same pocket, legislation doesn't.
Yeah, so
differentiate the two.
yeah, for now, going forward, I'm not sure. It's temporary. I'm not sure how temporary or how permanent, if it's for this semester or for this academic year or calendar or fiscal year. I'm not sure, but for now, it says basic needs. So when you say basic needs supplies, what might that entail?
Water, that, nutritious bar,
Yes.
those are accessible and
If we can buy a burrito, we can buy water in the nutrition bar. So
okay.
I would.
This is recorded, right?
No, it's not. We blinked just now.
So
But,
the lottery funds not being a GFU, we can still put the preposition in there.
He went to school purchase right now.
Yeah, we had a very interested faculty because I was familiar with the law itself. They asked the question, I say it's coming, they want to order something, I say, can you wait until I
I
get?
would say send the requisition now, yes.
Okay. Water, granola bar, other stuff coming out of office.
Yes, I will send that requisition now. And you'll know real time if there are any questions from the district.
Okay,
In terms of the longevity or the term, how long will go, I don't have an answer for that. I'll provide an update as soon as.
I thought the law was permanent. Pretty permanent.
You may be right, I just can't say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this was very informative. We thought it was gonna be a quick thing and lots of stuff with food trucks and maybe our evening cafe hours coming. Thank you, Adon, for your team. Oh, another question, sorry.
Question, like timeline, when could we pick up vouchers from your office or working with them in our mailboxes?
I mean, we're trying to figure this out by the end of this week because we want to start next week if possible.
Okay.
So the last few pieces that we got is this whole tracking piece. Do we track or not? I personally want us to do it because I want to know, you know, we aggregate this data, who are we targeting, right?
Maybe a little flyer with QR code attached to the if it's any student, you can just
team.
Yeah, you know that I love QR codes, so
Yeah.
yes.
That's the QR team over there.
Yeah, so we'll definitely try to do this as quickly as possible. I know Media designed this prior to know we had to give so many. But we're gonna continue.
Not bad for 2 hours turnaround, I'm so gonna just say.
And so we're going to keep with this template of the vouchers. And so she's already made the request to duplicate services to print them and cut them so we can distribute as quickly as possible.
And maybe, and then maybe on the flyer, if there are limitations, like. Can people, how many times can they?
It's unlimited.
Okay.
So so I like the idea of having the paper sign-in sheet and also a sign-in sheet at the food truck. Just because if I'm coming out of class and I see another friend and they're not in a class with the professor share it, we can still walk to the food truck and know that there's a sign-in sheet at the food truck. And then, but there's no limit, so the student can take multiple vouchers at a time if needed. So let's say it's a Monday, Wednesday class, you could technically give them on Mondays for tickets, so that way they can get one per day.
What happens if an employee comes and asks for a voucher?
Well, that's why personally I want to ask for the student ID number, because ultimately the funding is for students, so we do have employees.
I am willing to try.
We do have employees who are taking classes.
The gym class to work out at the gym. They go-
Thank you. Wow, good conversation. That's a highlight.
Thank you.
Moving on, thank you, John, for covering 7 and 8. So number 9, year-end events. I'm just gonna say what I said yesterday. Thursday, come on campus from when the sun rises to beyond its sunset. There's something happening everywhere in every space on Thursday and Friday and every other day, right? But Janelle, do we have some in particular, or do we want to, Caesar, can you help me highlight Thursday? I know some of them have been on your plate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a couple events happening on Thursday. The 20th, we have our open house, which happens happening from 9 to 1. So we'll have resource fairs, the Environmental Justice Summit. What else do we have? Oh, Student Research Symposium. It's most of the activity will be happening at the AHBT Upper Quad. Check-in will be at the AHBT Lower Quad. We'll also be serving food for folks who are students who registered. Guest speakers, we'll have all events there. And then also our Friends of Downtown will be having a luncheon in the A building patio.
There you go. What is happening
Oh,
Thursday?
yeah, Thursday in the evening, sir, wanted to share?
From 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. will be a student mission forum, and that will be out virtually.
Virtually.
And there's also a link that was sent out this morning on the DL, so please share with students to attend.
Question about the open house. Now, are those students, are we bringing students in?
Yes, I believe we have about 800 plus students coming from our high school service areas, also included CE students. And then we've also invited the community to come on campus too. So it's going to be a pretty busy and fun day. I mean, we have a lot of tours that Outreach will be handling. Shout out to Genevieve and Clarissa for handling that. There'll be a lot of activities. I think there's also a performance area too, part of the Student Research Symposium, spoken word, poems, performances. So please, come out and support.
Go ahead, Janelle.
I got Ricky wanted to highlight the scholarship banquet on Thursday, May 4th. It'll be on the Abilene patio. It's basically where city gives out a bunch of money to our amazing students. And then just like within the next month, we have several graduation ceremonies. I know we have our rite of passage, our commencement, Chicanx Latin grad. There's just a bunch of different ceremonies and scholarship opportunities.
I'm gonna add to that and just say, if you forgot that you had an event, that you didn't do an event plan, please do an event plan and get it in there. Sooner the better, and Jay's team and everybody else will appreciate it if there's anything else that's required.
Still didn't close the day, I'm sorry.
Facilities is closing maybe.
Please submit your facility plan.
Yeah.
To business services, please and thank you.
Anything else about your events?
I think just one recommendation, if you guys have year-end events, please let us know too. We try to keep track, and also encourage to put that on the Google Calendar. So everybody's aware of that, and it also helps us because we could share the Google Calendar. I know some students are asking, oh, so what's going on this month or whatnot? So having that on the Google Calendar helps a lot.
And will help us to create next year's year-end.
Right.
Anything else, Janelle? No? Okay, got it. Okay, moving on to item number 10. Looks like Susan Murray, you're back again.
Yeah, so I don't know why, I think this became my, by default, because I suggested it and the payment that you get. So, this is just our attempt to build a schedule of upcoming agenda items and presentations. So, Janelle has outlined, our 3 remaining meetings between now and the end of May. So if you know of anything that should come forward, let us know now. I'll pass it to Janelle so that it can get scheduled.
And just a quick note, as of right now, the May 30th date is tentative upon the action for the May 16th meeting for us to continue college council during the summertime. Questions?
As we look, I'm just gonna ask if there's anything to add. Masa?
Should have been included year-end event. It's not quite a year-end event. The NRPZ grant is going to have a kickoff on the 9th of May. That's an informational session, and we are hoping to have a student panel to hear voices of all API students. It's going to be on May 9th, so please mark your calendar.
Perfect, thank you. What time?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'll get back to you with the flyers and everything. I'm mixing up the different times.
Face to face?
It's going to be at a patio. I think, no. Hold on, I'm mixing up the events. Do you remember?
I don't know. More information.
More information is coming, but please mark your calendar. Me and I believe it was in a lunchtime-ish, because we are hoping to serve food, little snack as well.
Granola bars and water.
Oh, it's gonna be better than that.
Billy, I wanted to ask, I just thought about this, because I'm looking at the tentative summer, and, summer schedule for these meetings. And I know about half of us, are not technically here, but I wanna come to the meeting, so I don't know if there was a possibility for Zoom for the summer, but I don't know if that's something that we can even
Like an action.
think about or not.
Yeah, my suggestion would be to put that as an action item under the action, like a sub-action almost. I can do that if you'd like to have that as a conversation.
That's a good idea.
Would that be a Brown Act issue though, if the state is not going through the state of emergency anymore?
Yes and no, because there is a way that we can do it, like we would have to post the agenda and wherever we are and 72 hours in advance, and we would have to probably post where we are meeting from.
Right.
That's what the Brown Act requires, so yeah, just to talk about, there is a possibility, but yeah, I can see how that, it can complicate things, but yeah, it's doable.
Sorry, my trusted support has texted me saying it's 11:30 to 1 o'clock at the current plaza, May 9,
The lunch.
lunch.
Benefits lunch.
It's technically it's an information provision
Okay.
so that I can use my phone. It's a technical information provision session with some reflecting on the month to celebrate the API folks.
So Susan and Janelle, since Susan's your name's on here about the agenda planning, these are the suggestions for May 2nd, 16th, and 30th, if there's other, so far, what we have on the agenda items. I know I've had a couple of them that were kind of, I tucked them away somewhere. I need to go back and figure out what else we were gonna take forward. It gets different at the end of this year because then people are too busy to come in. But definitely take a look. One last item before we adjourn. I was gonna ask John Parker if you wouldn't mind just mentioning lot 10.
Lot 10, yes,
Parking lot.
right out here, correct, is now open, resurfaced, restriped. Same 21 spaces, I believe. There are the president, VPs, 3 president/district spaces, an ADA, a 30-minute. A 3-minute loading, unloading, and 1 ADA. I think I mentioned it, the remainder 11 or 12 are 1 hour parking spaces. So it's open now. And we'll also be sending out a flyer soon to City Park, just adjacent to it, which is why the lot was closed in the first place. We'll have for Administrative Professionals Day next Wednesday, the 26th. We'll have some ice cream, snacks, and churros, kind of like a day in the park celebrating our city park. So that'll be forthcoming. It'll be between the hours of 11 and 1 o'clock next Wednesday.
Hopefully there's sunshine.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else that anyone wants to bring to the floor? If not, can we adjourn this meeting at? I have 3:42.
Yeah.